One of those stories is the story of Hisham bin Salim, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, pertaining to imamah. Hisham bin Salim was one of Imam al-Sadiq's closest companions, alayhi salam. And he informs us of what took place when Imam al-Sadiq passed away. I want to mention this story, and I'll try to paraphrase it and summarize it, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, because it contains, to be honest, multiple lessons that are very important for us, especially for the youth in this day and age. Hisham rahimahullah, he says, when Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam passed away, I was with Abu Ja'far al-Ahwal, the man known as Mu'min al-Taq, in Al-Madinah. He says the people had agreed that Abdullah al-Aftah was the Imam after Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Abdullah was Imam al-Kadhim's brother, and he was older than Imam al-Kadhim, but he had a defect. And as you will realize, he was not too knowledgeable in religion when it came to religious knowledge. He had a defect, and the infallible Imam will not have a defect. The infallible Imam is perfect. He does not have any physical or spiritual defects. So he says, Hisham says, the people had believed that Abdullah al-Aftah was the Imam. What about you, O Hisham? What was your stance? Remember, Hisham bin Salim and Abu Ja'far, Mu'min al-Taq, these two were from the closest companions to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. So what did they do? They entered upon Abdullah al-Aftah to test Abdullah, to test him and to see, is he the Imam or not? It is very likely, and I hope you're focused with me, that Hisham already knew that Abdullah was not the Imam. He already knew that Imam al-Kadhim was the Imam, salamullah alayh, but was pretending not to know. You might ask, why would he pretend not to know who is the Imam? Because you will realize from the narration itself that the circumstances at that point were very difficult. And Abu Ja'far al-Mansur was in search of the successor of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, the real successor, and in search of the Shi'as of Imam al-Sadiq salawatullah alayh, to kill them. And so Hisham enters upon Abdullah with Abu Ja'far al-Ahwal, and they ask him a question. They tell him, tell us, when is a person obligated to pay zakat? He tells them, when a person owns 200, meaning 200 silver coins, he must pay 5 silver coins. Bear in mind that there are multiple items on which a person has to pay zakat. One or two of those items are what we call dinar and dirham, golden and silver coins used in business transactions, used to buy or sell commodities, etc. Today we don't have any dananir or darahim. Yes, you might find certain currencies that are called dinars, but the actual silver coin or golden coin that was used previously as a currency, that does not exist today. So he tells them if someone owns 200 silver coins, he has to pay 5 silver coins, which was correct. They told him, what about 100? If someone owns 100 silver coins, he told them he has to pay in that case 2 silver coins and half of a silver coin. This was wrong. This was incorrect. Why? Because the minimum amount a person has to own, the minimum amount of silver coins a person has to own to be obligated to pay zakat is 200 silver coins. If you have 199 silver coins, you're not obligated to pay zakat. They told him, what about 100? He said, you have to pay 2 silver coins and half of a silver coin if you own 100. Hisham knew this was a mistake. He told him, al-Murajji'a don't even believe in this. Abdullah lifted his arm to the sky and he said, I swear by Allah, I do not know what al-Murajji'a say. Here Hisham and Abu Ja'far came out of the house of Abdullah, as they were saddened, they were confused. Where should we go? What should we do? Hisham says, we sat in one of the tight streets of Medina and we began crying. We were confused and we were asking ourselves, should we go to al-Murajji'ah? Should we go to al-Qadriyah? Should we go to al-Zaydiyah, to al-Mu'tazila, to al-Khawarij? Where should we go? Because it was clear that Abdullah was not the Imam after Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, at that point, I saw an old man who was making a gesture with his hand or arm, telling me to come close. Hisham says, I feared that this man was one of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur's spies, because al-Mansur had sent spies to Medina so they may catch the Shi'as of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam and may behead them. So I feared possibly this is one of his spies. Hence I told Abu Ja'far, I told him, Abu Ja'far, go away. Leave. Because the man wants me. He's calling me. He's not calling you. So go away. Distance yourself. He says Abu Ja'far at that point distanced himself, but he stayed at a place that was nearby. And I followed that old man because I believed, I assumed that I could not run away from him. He says, the old man kept on walking until he took me to the house of Imam alKadhem salawatullahi wa salamu alayh. When I was in front of Imam alKadhem's door, I saw a servant, and the servant told me, come in. I went in, and I saw Imam alKadhem salawatullahi wa salamu alayh. When he entered upon the Imam, before Hisham even spoke, Imam alKadhem told him, لا إلى المرجئة ولا إلى القدرية ولا إلى الزيدية ولا إلى المعتزلة ولا إلى الخوارج إلي. He told him, do not go to al-Murajji'ah, do not go to al-Qadriyah, do not go to al-Zaydiyah, do not go to al-Mu'tazila, do not go to al-Khawarij. Rather, come to me, come to me, come to me. Meaning, come to your Imam. This, my brothers and sisters, was a sign supporting Imam al-Kadhim's Imamah. Why? Because how in the world would Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam know what was going through the mind of Hisham bin Salim and Abu Ja'far al-Ahwal had he not been an Imam? This was the first word he said before Hisham even spoke. So Hisham came to him and he told the Imam. He told him, may I be sacrificed for you? Did your father pass away? The Imam told him, yes. He told him, who do we have after him? As in, who is our guide after Ja'far al-Sadiq? Al-Kadhim alayhi salam said, if Allah wishes to guide you, He will guide you. You might ask, why doesn't He tell him it's me? Why? Because as we said, the circumstances were very difficult, and so the Imam could not explicitly tell him, I am the Imam, as you shall hear. He tells him, if Allah wishes to guide you, He will guide you. He told the Imam, Abdullah, meaning your brother, Abdullah is claiming to be the Imam. Imam al-Kadhim told him, Abdullah does not want people to obey and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning Abdullah was on the wrong path. He was claiming what was not his. Again, Hisham told him, who do we have after Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam? Meaning, who is our guide? The Imam repeated his statement. If Allah wishes to guide you, He will guide you. Here, he had to ask the Imam. He told him, is it you? Are you the Imam? Imam al-Kadhim told him, I am not saying so. لا أقول ذلك. See, I am not saying so is different than saying no. He didn't tell him I'm not the Imam. He told him I'm not saying so. Hisham realized that he asked his question in the wrong manner. He has to change his wording. So he told the Imam, do you have an Imam? Meaning, are you currently following another Imam? If the Imam says yes, then that means he's not the Imam. But if he says no, it means he is the Imam, because the rightful Imam will be the leader. Other people, all other people will be required of following him. So Imam alKadhem tells him no. He told him, no, I don't have an Imam. At that point, Hisham, rahmatullah alayhi, realizes this is our Imam after as-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhima, and he feels a great sense of fear and reverence towards the Imam. He says, I felt a sense of reverence that only Allah knows, a sense of reverence which exceeded what I used to feel when I would be in the presence of his father, Al-Imam al-Sadiq, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhima. Then he took permission from the Imam to ask questions. The Imam told him, ask, and you will be informed. But do not inform the people, meaning do not inform the masses of this issue of my imamah. Do not inform them, or else someone will be slaughtered. This word in itself indicates that the circumstances are what? Very difficult. He's telling him some will be slaughtered. Possibly your Imam will be slaughtered. Possibly you will be slaughtered. Or your brothers in faith will be slaughtered. So be careful. Hisham asked him his questions, and the Imam salamullahi alayh presented him with his answers. He says, at that point I found that he was a bahr, meaning he possessed oceans of knowledge. This story, my brothers and sisters, helps us understand multiple points. Or in better terms, we can derive multiple lessons from this story. I'd like to shed light on two important lessons before we go to the tragedy of the Imam, salawatullahi wa salamu alayh. The first one is, when a person is afflicted with confusion, when a person does not know which path to follow, it is essential that he uses his intellect and he takes his time. Sometimes people, especially the youth, might not know which path to follow. Sometimes you see, multiple opinions, and you encounter different groups such that you go through a state of confusion and you don't know which group to follow, who to listen to. It is essential in moments like those to take your time, not to rush, and to use your brain, use your intellect. Interestingly, Imam alKadhem alayhi salam has a long narration where he talks to Hisham ibn al-Hakam rahmatullah alayh about what? About the intellect. The importance of using the intellect, about the intellectual, so on and so forth. Hisham uses intellect. He did not rush. And because of that, he was guided to who? To Imam alKadhem, salawatullah wa salamu alayh. The second and last point I want to mention is that truth is what? Truth is clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not make the truth unclear, will not make the truth vague. The truth is clear, such that when a person finds it, he will realize that this is the truth. Hisham quickly realized that Abdullah al-Aftah was not an Imam. Why? Again, because he took his time and he used his intellect. But when he met Imam alKadhem alayhi salam, and he had his discussion, his dialogue with Imam alKadhem, he realized that this was the rightful Imam. And indeed, the imamate of the real Imam is clear. It shows itself. It manifests itself. Imam alKadhem's imamah was clear, alayhi salam. It was so clear, even Harun al-Abbasi knew he was the Imam.